At the peak of the dot-com bubble, Cisco was worth 5.5% of the U.S. GDP, and today, NVIDIA is worth over 11.7%, almost 12%, which is 200% higher. When this bubble pops, and it will lead to a collapse bigger than 2008. It is only a matter of time. Hi, this is Mike Maloney with another 30 Seconds to Midnight update. The big money is getting prepared so that they don't end up scared like everyone else. We are seeing some 9-figure sales recently, but for the average small investor, it's crickets, and it shouldn't be. This is really the time. We are here. This is the S&P 500, and this is corporate insider buying. So it's the amount of corporate insider buying, and what you notice is that they buy a lot after dips and whenever the Federal Reserve created a whole bunch of currency. And then they're not buying, and sometimes they are selling during market peaks. So when the market is peaking is when they are selling. They are selling now, but the market hasn't quite peaked yet. But this is something that is saying it will, and it's going to be soon. This is the spread between U.S. BBB corporate bond yields and the 3-month Treasury bill. And you see that 1929 and then 1932. So this is the peak of the good times just before a crash, and that is the bottom, the trough in the bad times. Here's 2007, peak of the real estate bubble, 2008 global financial crisis. Look at where we are today compared to 2007. This is from Mr. Mike Investing. NVIDIA in 2024 versus Cisco in the year 2000. Now, I was looking at this and then I realized, oh my gosh, this is as a percentage of GDP. At the peak of the dot-com bubble, Cisco was worth 5.5% of the U.S. GDP, and today, NVIDIA is worth over 11.7%, almost 12%, which is 200% higher. When this bubble pops, and it will lead to a collapse bigger than 2008. It is only a matter of time. One company worth almost 12% of the entire economic output of the United States. This is a super hyper bubble. Somebody posted here, this is the Great Martis. The Buffett indicator just blew past 200. Ladies and gentlemen, we are now in uncharted waters. God help us all. Well, at the Limitless Expo in Dallas, I presented the Buffett indicator, and I went to update this chart just now because I like to look at it historically. We've been in uncharted waters ever since we passed about 150% of GDP. So I went to update it, went to the Fed's website, and this is where all of my charts come from, all of the data, and I put in Wilshire, no results. This is where I always found the Wilshire 5000 total market cap index, and I would divide that by GDP and make my own Buffett indicator, and they just deleted it. I'm going to show you discontinued data sets later because the Fed has been discontinuing a lot of them. But if somebody is doing something that they don't like that really makes things look bad, like the Buffett indicator, they just delete it now. They don't even tell you they're discontinuing it. So just before the Limitless conference, so this is as of the end of August, I updated the Buffett indicator for stock market capitalization. So this is from my presentation at Limitless. So it's pretty recent. August valuations for the stock market. And here we were up above 200. And you can see the size of the dot-com bubble, the size of the peak before the global financial crisis. And we have been in uncharted waters since about 140% of GDP. So the scale of these bubbles is immense. The wreckage afterwards is going to be immense. People are going to be wiped out here. Now, this is something that I presented it at Limitless also, and it's in my book. And for some reason, other economists and so on didn't pick up on this, but we really, really dug deep. Tim Burris, one of my researchers, it took him a long time to find this. And this is from two European economists, Dmitry Kushnov and Kaspar Zimmerman. They call it the Big Bang. It's a paper from 2019. This data only goes up to 2016, but this is 17 advanced economies. So they've made a Buffett indicator for the globe, and it's stock market capitalization to GDP. It's brilliant, but this stops in 2016. This would be off the charts today. This is how many work hours it takes to buy the S&P 500. It used to average, and this is the reason there's some companies that will take the Buffett indicator that only goes back to the 80s or the one that only goes back to 1947, and it's got a slight upward tilt to it. And so they'll detrend that and tell you that we're not in that big a bubble, even though it still shows it up at historic peaks, even detrended. But if you detrend it, you're fooling yourself, because we've been living in the bubble century ever since the late 90s. Everybody went insane, and they're paying these incredible valuations. Since 1860, this is the Civil War we're talking about. About 23 hours of work your pay was equivalent to what the points on the S&P 500 would have been. And then in the late 90s, everything went insane, and we've been in the bubble century ever since. This is real home prices, and you can see that we are in uncharted territories. We are at record levels. This is much greater than the 2007 bubble. Now, in my book, I talked about the Fed discontinuing data that makes it look bad, that it doesn't like. In my book, I had these charts of the checkable deposits. It also includes cash on hand. And this was for the poorest 50% of the population. And it looks like they suddenly were given a whole bunch of cash, which they were, with the pandemic, with the lockdowns, the government handing out free currency, and people's checking accounts went way up. And then, but they didn't. They went up. They tripled almost, except when you compare it to the top 1%. Hi, I just wanted to take a moment and thank you for subscribing, and mention that if you'd like to help our channel, please consider my company, GoldSilver.com, the next time you buy precious metals. We're one of the most trusted names in the industry. Our prices are sharp, delivery is fast, and we have an insiders program where you find out exactly what I'm doing with my own investments. Thanks for making GoldSilver.com your dealer, and now back to the video. When you compare it to the top 1%, this is that same poorest 50% compared to the top 1%. And this I call Bernankenomics. This is something that Ben Bernanke did in 2008, and he made the richest people a lot richer, and everybody felt a little richer until inflation came and wiped all of this out. But I went back to update these data sets because this chart right here is the most important chart of all. This one is the richest 10% to the poorest 90%. So if you have 10 people here, the red line represents one person, the blue line represents the other 9 people combined. And so you can see that up until Bernankenomics, up until Ben Bernanke changed the way we did everything over at the Federal Reserve in 2008, right there, about 47% of the deposits on average belong to one person. The other 53% belong to the other 9 people combined. He changed all that. Now one person owns twice as much wealth as the other 9 people combined. One person twice as much. So Ben Bernanke made the richest people super rich, and everybody else is suffering. Now, I wanted to update these charts. Went to the Federal Reserve's website to update those. Here's the bottom 50%, discontinued. Here's the top 1%, discontinued. Here's the 50th to 90th percentile, discontinued, discontinued, discontinued. There's checkable deposits and currency held. There's 132 sets, but most of them are now discontinued. The ones that aren't discontinued are the ones that you don't really care about that much. Then I went and put in discontinued, and 56,000 data sets show up. And the ones that have been discontinued just in 2024 alone is the first 5 pages. And I think there's 100 sets on a page or something like that. It might be more. So you can count it yourself. But these are all discontinued, and some of them are very important data sets, and some of them go back to 1947, 1918, and then, these are fairly recent, 2002, 2015. But some of these are very old data sets that we've got historic comparison. You get perspective when you look at these. And so right now, we need to get ready for something big. The real smart big money is, like I said, we've had a couple of 9-figure sales recently, and you can see that insiders are selling. You can see that we are in historic bubbles that have never been seen before. But what I am doing and have done to get prepared, most of my largest position is in physical silver. And here is why. If this is the gold line down here is the nominal silver price, going all the way back to 1970. The dark blue line is the official CPI. This greenish line or turquoise or whatever it is the Shadow Stats price. But Shadow Stats is a United States CPI adjusted. He's just using the old numbers, the old way they used to calculate the CPI. And it comes up with $1,800 silver. And I need to show you something. There's a chapter in my book on silver, and what I came up with, I'm trying to find the page here, the silver lining is the chapter, and I analyze it and compare it to a bunch of other things in the U.S. economy. Consumer Price Index today, when I wrote the book back so this was October of 2022, the CPI gave me, if I adjusted it for the $50 peak in 1980, it was $200 silver. Median price single family home, if you adjust it by the same percentage that real estate went up during that period of time, $468 silver. The Wilshire 5000 stock index, $2,178 silver. The 10-year Treasury bond, $1,059 silver. The U.S. GDP, $468 silver. Currency in circulation, $971 silver. M2, $781 silver. And MZM was $1,250 silver, but they discontinued MZM. And so you had an average of $921 silver per ounce using the same type of growth. That's if silver goes into the same type of bubble that it did back in January 1980 compared to all of the other things in the U.S. economy. And so the truth lies somewhere between this green line and that blue line. But get ready for some real fireworks. They're coming up pretty soon. If you got anything from this, please like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.